Stop using simple keyword search and start using semantic search instead with OpenAI's new file search tool. This is an incredible feature that brings advanced search capabilities to your AI assistants. Now imagine having the power to generate highly personalized content based on your documents. Now before you implement file search tool in your OpenAI assistant, watch this video because I'm going to reveal how you can use the file search feature to create email sequence for a doc training business. Stick around to the end so you learn exactly the step-by-step process how you can implement file search in your own projects. We're going to discuss why the OpenAI assistant is better than the custom GPT when it comes to processing large amounts of files. I'm also going to reveal to you what is semantic search, what are vector database, and what it means when you can scale your database and process up to 10,000 files. Also, there's going to be a link in the description. Go ahead and take the 3-day AI agent challenge. You're going to be able to take your prompt to a complete MVP product. And we have no code, low code, and full code solution. So make sure you take that challenge so you can unleash your agent, and we can't wait to see what you're going to create. Without further ado, let's dive in. So OpenAI recently rolled out the file search tool, which integrates all the best search practices into one powerful feature. Okay, now this tool allows your assistant to retrieve the right data from your files, making your AI responses more relevant and accurate. So let's look at some of the features of the file search tool. So you have the advanced search capabilities, you have semantic search, and the file search is connected to a vector database. You can process up to 10,000 files. That makes your database more scalable. Now, look at some of the features. As you know, as developers, it's a pain when the ChatGPT or your assistant doesn't understand exactly what you're saying through the prompt interface. You want to search something and you have to provide really specific and clear instructions so that the assistant can retrieve that specific information. With the file search feature, OpenAI eliminates that problem because whenever you send out a prompt, it rewrites the user queries to optimize them for search. So for example, you write, how do I make spaghetti carbonara? It's going to optimize the search and search for spaghetti carbonara recipe instructions. So it already understands how to call the search function using specific keywords. So breaking down complex queries. So for example, you search for what are the economic and environmental impacts of electrical vehicles compared to gas cars. Okay, it's going to search for all these searches in parallel. Economic impacts, environmental impacts. For example, if you're familiar with the Perplexity AI, it does a similar thing where it rewrites the search into multiple searches and then combines all that together to give you that final output. So Perplexity is already built in with the search capabilities. I made another video about Perplexity, so check that out over there. It runs both keyword and semantic searches across both assistant and thread vector stores. I'm going to go into detail what vector stores are in a little bit, but this is an important thing to know, the keyword and semantic search features. So if you're using custom GPT or the OpenAI Assistant version 1, you're going to be using the keyword search. So suppose you have a PDF file or a Word doc or anything of that sort. Let's say it's a document that has a lot of products, etc. And one of them is shampoo. So there could be several instances in that document where the word shampoo comes up. So when you search for something like I'm looking for shampoo, with the keyword search, OpenAI then breaks down the documents into small pieces called chunks, and every chunk would have keyword shampoo in it, along with a couple of other words. So basically, and then it's going to send all this response to the LM model, and the LM model is going to assemble all that chunks along with the text provided around the word shampoo to understand what it's talking about, and then it's going to, this is done with keyword search. But this is where the keyword search falls apart. Let's say you say something for my hair. This requires meaning. The keyword search won't be able to find the exact text containing shampoo, right? So the way OpenAI solves this is using semantic search and vector database. If you say red shampoo, it also understands that you're looking for red, even if the word red doesn't appear in the actual description. So if you imagine yourself having a document with lots of pictures, like product related data, the semantic search feature can retrieve the specific information from the image itself. So the file search feature uses the RAG, the Retrieval-Augmented generation system, which has the keyword search feature, as well as the vector database that enables the semantic search. So you have the best of both worlds. So you can also specify the chunk size. So we already talked about when you're doing keyword searches, the document gets converted to chunks that contain specific keywords. Okay, so you can specify the chunk size over here. By doing so, you can optimize on your token usage, which is also important. Let's find out what is vector database and how does it help enable semantic search. So vector database is a specialized system designed to store, manage, and efficiently retrieve high-dimensional vector data, which are numerical representations of complex objects like text, image, audio. So a vector database uses the semantic search feature unlike traditional database. Another great thing is scalability. So if you find yourself using a GPT or an OpenAI assistant, envision that it needs to scale, then you need to use a vector database. Let's look at some real-world use cases. For e-commerce, you can use a personalized product recommendation and visual search. For finance, you could use fraud detection and not anomaly identification, transaction. For healthcare, you can use patient similarity analysis for treatment recommendation. So now, if you don't want to use the OpenAI's vector database because OpenAI charges you to store the files in their server, and you want a more secure way to store your files, you can use an open source platform like Quadrant, which is also a vector database. And you can use something called Pinecone. Pinecone, you have to pay for their solution, but they have a lot of documentation in terms of how you can get started. They give you the Python quick start guide. Pinecone also allows you to create your assistant with the Pinecone database integration. They have the Python code, so you can just get started, start playing around. So you're not restricted to the OpenAI vector database, but understand the vector database will unlock more search capabilities like the semantic search. But they have a lot of books and resources to help you get started building your database and creating your embeddings. So if you want to learn more about the technicalities, watch this video. One of my clients, Mark, he has a dog training business and he co-authored a couple of books on dog training. Let's say this is one of his books and it is an 85-page ebook. All right, so we're going to take this ebook and we're going to plug this into the assistant, but we have to follow a couple of steps. And then Mark wants to create personalized email sequence for his clients, okay, to help with dog socialization. So the assistant needs to find the relevant information that talks about a dog socialization, understand meaning from the document, assemble the response, and then create email sequence. So it's actually a practical application that they need to employ using their own knowledge base. But with a RAG, this would fall apart because it would not understand meaning and might not always pick out the relevant information from the documents. So you need to first sign up for your OpenAI API key. If you haven't, go to platform.openai.com and you need to sign up for your API keys from here. You're going to create a new secret key and then it's going to give you that secret key, which is your API key. This will allow OpenAI to track your usage and charge you accordingly. So once you have your API keys and you have credit in your account, you need to go to Assistant, and in the Assistant area, you're going to see something like this, a playground. This is like a custom GPT if you're familiar with the custom GPT interface, except this is now taking it out of the custom GPT interface and now it's giving you more features to use. For example, the file search, code interpreter, and a couple of other things. You can specify the response format to be JSON. You can set the temperature to your desire. It controls randomness. Before we can attach any files to the assistant, we need to create a vector database. This is where you're going to create your vector database. It's very simple. You hit create, right? And then it's going to create the vector store and it's going to give you a vector store ID. So go ahead and copy this vector store ID. We're going to call the assistant dog trainer marketer. You are an expert marketer in dog training. Use the provided knowledge, use the provided documents to answer questions, ensure it's concise. And of course, you can improve your prompt. This is just an example. Then you're going to enable the file search feature. You can also choose your model. We're going to go with the GPT-4o, and this is where you're going to select your vector store, plug in the vector store ID, and then click select. You need to upload the files. Then you need to click on plus files to upload your files. Let's go ahead and drop in that PDF file about dog training. All right, so it's ready. This is where you can also specify the chunk size and tokens. So if you have a document and set the chunk size to 500 tokens, then the document will be divided into segments of 500 tokens each. This is useful for processing very large amounts of data that might exceed the token limit of a model or for granular analysis. So chunk overlap indicates how many tokens from the end of the chunk are repeated at the beginning of the next chunk. So most of these chunks, along with their text, will have some kind of overlapping with each other. So if your chunk size is 500 and your overlap is 50 tokens, each chunk will share 50 tokens with the next chunk. This helps maintain context. Set to 50, it should be a good default. So as you can see, the files have been uploaded and the vector store has been created. the assistant is ready. Again, OpenAI does charge you when you're using the API, so you have to be careful how much tokens you're using. And of course, you're charged for both the input and output. So if you're a business and you're doing for production level tasks, this will save you tons of time in generating content because the assistant now is going to write the whole email sequence personalized to those documents. For the purpose of this video, let's write two email sequences to potential clients to talk about dog socialization. I don't know much about dog training business, but let's see what the document provides. So let's see what the assistant provides us. Now in this PDF file, it has a lot of information about training a dog and specific training techniques. In this section, we have something called when to add a command. So let's say I want to write two emails to potential clients based on the documents provided about when to add a command. Let's go ahead and run this. On the top left, you'll see the amount of tokens that are used to generate this email sequence. But over here, you can see it talks about marker training, when to add a command. In marker training, we ensure the dog can perform desired behavior 8 out of 10 times. Notice it has the same wordings here. And then it outlines the process even more. Now it converts it to a format where it's actually prospecting new clients by using words like ready to get started, let's schedule a session. Then you have the second email that talks about the timings in market training. So it's actually using the documents we've provided, and it pulls out meaning, context, and then assembles all that for a specific task. In this case, for writing emails. You can also see the citations here. So I want you to imagine yourself using your own documents and seeing how you can augment the assistant with your own information, so the assistant becomes much more specialized for your task or business. Okay. Now there's a lot of consideration you need to take when you're building vector database, like costs and ways to optimize your files. There's a lot of nuances that goes behind setting up your vector database. So make sure you book a call with us. The link is going to be in the description. We're going to help you set it up and then answer any questions you have regarding vector database. Now you can attach a vector database to an assistant or an actual thread, which is a collection of messages. So since you're uploading your files in the OpenAI servers, OpenAI will charge you based on the usage. So when you attach the vector database into a thread, if you're attaching your files to the assistant or you have your files stored in their server, your first gigabyte is free, and then beyond that, the usage is built at 0.10 gigabytes per day. So make sure you manage that effectively as well. Search practices all in one tool out of the box so that your assistant can. So I made another video about vector database. So if you want to learn more about the technical details, watch the video. I'll also show you how you can set it up with Python code, which will be very useful for you to start deploying your assistants and also use it in a production environment. So the file search and the vector storage is still at a beta stage for OpenAI. So you might have issues uploading files. For example, when one of the users uploaded a text file to the vector store and the status shows failed, you can pretty much convert it to docx and try again. Use different formats that you have available here. Convert it to docx, maybe convert it to a PDF file. So if you have images, docx or PDF file works better. It does not support CSV, which is very interesting because CSV can transport a lot of tables. So yeah, I hope they bring the CSV feature. So one of the users asked, what is better, RAG with Llama Index or file search with OpenAI? So the Llama Index is a query and index framework similar to RG, the Retrieval-Augmented generation, but it can be connected to a vector database, so you can incorporate keyword and semantic search. It's a little bit complex to set up. So if you're using open source models, you have to go to that route. But the file search is easy to use with the OpenAI Assistant API, and they have less customization feature. However, you can incorporate external vector database like Quadrant or Pinecone with your assistant through the function calling feature. So that's one way to get around it by using the. So you still have the benefit of using the OpenAI Assistant framework, but you incorporate the database somewhere else. Use Custom GPT still uses the RAG feature, meaning it only uses keyword search. It's going to pull in chunks of information from the document to answer the question. And it's not efficient, it's not scalable, but it doesn't need to be, because when you move over to the OpenAI Assistant, you now need to think about tokens and costs. And that's where the file search helps you, because you can scale. You can have up to 10,000 files, and it's much more efficient. You can scale. You can have up to 10,000 files. You can have semantic search, ease of use, and reduce cost. Okay, so it all depends on your use case. Hope this video was helpful for you. To make sure you watch this video to understand the technical details that goes behind the vector database as well as the file search, and watch this video to understand some of the limitations I found using the file search feature. Okay, so see you in the next video. GPT pioneers, let's go.